Hey, it's Mazzy. It's the Music Stupid. This is episode number 44. And just as a reminder, It's the Music Stupid is basically the mantra of the music first. It goes back to the James Carville, Bill Clinton campaign in 1992. It's the economy stupid. A reminder within that campaign that you need to kind of keep coming back to the economy when you're running that campaign. That was something in 1992, probably as good as is exactly what we want today. But these videos it's about the music where I pick 5 albums from my collection. Sometimes I do thematic records that kind of fit together. I'd say most of these are very different. There's a little bit of overlap on one or two of them, but it's just the records and some music I love. Of course, I love pretty much everything in this collection. So I picked 5 here and I want to showcase them to you. The music is what comes first, no matter what we want in formats, whether it's compact disc, streaming, vinyl. I happen to be showing vinyl in this series of videos for the most part. But yes, we want good sounding records too, but you want to enjoy the music first and then the sound. I'm not one that just wants a great sounding record just to show off a hi-fi setup. It's not about that. So for me, it's the music, and I think for most people that watch this feel the same. I want to start out with this album from 2020. This is Waen Cooder. I'm doing this, showcasing this again because I just saw Waen on Sunday night in Seattle, a very intimate show with him and Raina Gellert, who's a fiddle player. Now, he plays this instrument called an array mbira, which is a metal, looks like a spine, basically. I was with my friend who was a former spine surgeon, and I said, doesn't it look like a spine? He says, no, Maz, it looks nothing like a spine. But it has these metal, God, I wish you were here explaining this to me, because you always explain it to your audience. He holds this up because a lot of people don't know what it is. And it was basically an African instrument that's been sort of updated, modernized, changed out. I think the array mbira is made in America, as I understand. And it has a really beautiful tone, almost like those little percussive thumb instruments, thumb piano players. What are they called? I don't even know. But it's just a gorgeous sounding instrument. And I think he's commanded quite well. And at the end of this video, I will include a clip of him playing it at that show, a song on that. So stand by for that at the end. But this came out on None Such Records in 2020. This made my top 10 list of that year. And it's a very kind of folky, old-timey record. Really a lovely recording. Happens to be cut by Chris Bellman of Bernie Grundman, his studio, but that's where the nice sound of this record comes from, at least in the mastering, the vinyl mastering, but beautifully produced by Waen Cooder, engineered, mixed, mastered by Martin Prattler. This is called The Songs of Uncle Dave Macon. He was an old-timely musician from the late 1800s into the 20th century, a little bit of a folk, theatrical, vaudevillian style music. Very beautiful and also very fun. I think he was a comedian as well, as I understand. But I just love this record. Also on this record is Via Farke Torre on guitars on 1 or 2 cuts. That is the son of Ali Farka Touré, that great desert African guitar player who actually did a record with his father, Ry Cooder, as well. He also played on everything from the Buena Vista Social Club record to most of Ry Cooder records over the last 15, 20 years or so. Just some beautiful sounds in this. And I've seen him many times when he played mostly in San Francisco at the Great American Music Hall. Beautiful record. Also on vocals is Juliette Comegere, which is his wife. They have, I think, 2 children, who is an artist in her own right. I'm not really familiar with a lot of her stuff, but I know it's a wholly different direction, what the rootsy work that Waen Cooder has been doing. But check this record out. I'm going to put a link below because you can get this through Bandcamp. I can get it, I think, through Amazon, all the other places. And it's something that I think you'll really, really love if you listen to it. So Waen Cooder. Next, another record that's from 1970. The first record, the sole record with this group, of Fotheringay. Now, Fotheringay is the band that Sandy Denny started when she left Fairport Convention. And the name of it comes from a song that she wrote while in Fairport Convention. It's named after a castle that Mary, Queen of Scots, was imprisoned in, and they named this group. Unfortunately, it didn't last. This group was one album. I think years later, long after Sandy Denny's death, they reformed in the late 90s or 2000 or something. But this is a wonderful record. Also, Trevor Lucas on vocals and guitar, Australian musician who would later become married to Sandy Denny. She is, to me, one of the most beautiful folk voices in the world. I am all in on Fairport Convention, even her solo records as well, and died untimely death. This Fotheringay album was produced by Joe Boyd, who's pretty much the main producer of a lot of the late 60s English folk scene, folk rock scene, obviously with Incredible String Band and with Nick Drake and Fairport Convention, and as well as this album. And I've showed a lot of things that Joe Boyd's worked on for years, and I keep mentioning this, so I wanted to grab it this time, is this book. If you want to read something really interesting about all the records he worked on, this record is called White Bicycles, Making Music in the 1960s. This goes from the 60s into the 70s. This is a fantastic book of discovery. He brought some blues artists from America and started producing them in the UK. He was out of New England. His roommates were, at the time, up in the Boston area, Maria D'Amato and Jeff Muldar. And of course, Maria marries Jeff and becomes Maria Muldar. Everything comes full circle. Joe Boyd produces that Midnight at the Oasis album, that really breakout album by Maria Muldar. Ry Cooder plays on it. Clarence White plays on it from the Byrds. And the Kentucky Colonels, another favorite guitar player of mine, along with Ry Cooder. I digress because Joe Boyd, to me, has done all these great records over the years. And this is one that is so wonderful. Of course, on here, there is one Dylan covered, Too Much of Nothing, an early song of Bob Dylan's, as well as The Way I Feel, a Gordon Lightfoot song. And then a lot of originals and traditional versions of folk music modernized for the late 1960s to 1970s. So this is a fantastic album on A&M Records. If you find a copy, pick it up. Just a wonderful sounding record and just really great arrangements in that British folk scene of 1970. Next, I've known this music for years, and this just is a Mobile Fidelity just released this. This is Ruth Brown. This is rock and roll. Now, this is a fantastic record. Ruth Brown is really one of the innovators from rhythm and blues, from soul music, gospel music, into rock and roll. Really a crossover artist. This is her first album from Atlantic Records. I believe this came out in 1957 or 1958, but the songs were recorded over a period from 1949 to 1956. So it's really early on, obviously pre-Elvis and pre any rock and roll, but what a fantastic artist, very influenced by Ella Fitzgerald, by Billie Holiday, but again, more of a rockin' thing, an R&B sound. Just a wonderful debut on Atlantic Records, and Mobile Fidelity did a great version. Now, these are not audiophile recordings, but it's about the music. It's about the soul of this record. It can't be beat, and you really feel that kind of rockin' beat on this. It's such a great, wonderful vocalist, a great record. Atlantic Records opens up with Lucky Lips, a Lieber and Stoller track that was somewhat of a hit for her, one of her big hits off this album. So R&B, R&R, excuse me, but rhythm and blues, rock and roll. This is the real deal. Of course, it was probably changed because rock was really happening big time. Next, another wonderful record. These are all wonderful records. What am I saying? This is the Latin Playboys. The Latin Playboys made 2 records. The second album was called Dose. I only have that on compact disc. I'm not sure if it ever came out on vinyl. This issue came out somewhat years ago. Now, this is an offshoot of Los Lobos. David Hilgado was working on these new tracks with the producer Mitchell Froome, who worked on several wonderful albums of Los Lobos, and they were a little different. So this is a mix of Latin music, Mexican music, avant-garde, blues, rock, jazz. There's a spookiness to this record. It's really beautiful. The cover is great. The cover is by Louis Perez, who was in the band, along with Tom Rochon, the designer who worked at Warner Brothers Records at the time. Great art director, great designer. Did a beautiful job with this. I just love this cover art on this record. But there's a lot of great sounds on this record, a lot of great instrumentation, percussion work, guitar work. It's a very organic record, and it's a very ethereal record. It's not as commercial as Los Lobos, but to me, Los Lobos are probably, I keep thinking about this, they're the last band standing, the great American band standing. They've been together 40 years now, maybe. All original members, maybe one change early up, but I can't think of any other American band who hasn't lost a member through death or broken up or reformed. Consistently a great band. If you ever get a chance to see them, I've seen them, God, a dozen times over the years. And they're in a way like a jam band sometimes, because they'll do covers of Beatles songs like Tomorrow Never Knows and rootsy music. And of course, the great records they did in Spanish, and their great versions of songs like Guantanamera. Just a wonderful artist, Los Lobos. But the offshoot project, Latin Playboys, with Mitchell Froome, and it's just a fantastic album. Obviously, David Hidalgo and Louis Perez. Just a wonderful, wonderful record. Check it out. And lastly, and this kind of goes back full circle to the first artist, to Waen, because the song I play at the end, I believe, is a song written by Jesse Fuller. Now, Jesse Fuller, that song is not on this album, but Jesse Fuller was sort of a Renaissance blues folk singer that lived in Oakland, California towards the end of his life, his last years of his life, and would play around the Bay Area. You'd see him playing literally, this is probably down by the Presidio or down by Aquatic Park, it looks like, through the Golden Gate Bridge. He was the guy that first was playing, I think, the harmonica holder there that artists like Bob Dylan saw and decided to play early on. But he was a one-man band, basically. His guitar, drums, cymbals, all kinds of things. And someone who worked in the trains, in the train yards for years, for the railroad. And moves to Oakland at one point, and then plays around the Bay Area for a number of years. I believe he died in the late 1970s. And to me, his most famous song, and of course it tugs at my heart, and it's just a fun song, and it opens this record, is San Francisco Bay Blues, Jesse Fuller. That song has been covered from everyone from Jorma Kaukonen to Paul McCartney to Eric Clapton to Peter, Paul and Mary to Tom Rush to, the folk. That was a folk staple back, throughout the 1960s into the 1970s and beyond. That is a wonderful song that's been covered by so many artists. This has some traditional things like John Henry is on here. Crazy About a Woman, another Jesse Fuller song. Brown Skin Girl, I've Got My Eye on You by Jesse Fuller. I think this album came out in around 1963, as I believe, and it's just a fantastic record. So thanks for watching again. We're going to close out with a song by Jesse Fuller that Joaquin Cooder played the other night at the Rabbit Box Theater in Seattle. So thanks for watching. Comments below. Links below for the Joaquin Cooder record and some other things. So thank you. Mazzy loves you.
He came from Georgia, a small town, and he worked on the railroads and ended up in the Bay Area, and finally said, he walked off the job. He said, "Take this hammer, take it to the captain, tell him I'm gone. It killed John Henry, but it won't kill me." And he became a one-man band playing guitar, bass with his feet. He built all his own stuff in a rack harmonica and wrote this incredible song called Take This Hammer. Take this hammer, take it to the captain. Take this hammer, take